Kia ora e te whānau, no mai haere mai, ki te o Tahi Christchurch. Welcome to the 2025 Division 2 New Zealand Ultimate Championships here in Hagley Park at sunny Bob Deans Field. An exciting Open Division semi-final match for you on your screens, featuring teams we have seen before in this tournament, but most importantly, these two teams have already seen each other. There was a universe point finish. We will not spoil the result of that game for you, but these teams have faced each other before in the tournament, and they have come to very, very close blows. My name is Blair Munro.
My name is Rachel Siahani Royal.
And what a privilege it is to be here on your screens and in your ears, talking through the very best sport in all the world in one of the most beautiful places that you could possibly play it.
And we talked about these teams facing each other before. It can be really hard mentally to beat a team a second time. So having a rematch, you know, it's a bit of a mind game.
Absolutely, that's the old line. The hardest tournament team to beat in a tournament is one you've already played, and then the added pressure potentially of having the game streamed, of having the eyes of the world, well, maybe not the world, but certainly of Aotearoa and hopefully some of Australia on your performance. It's been a relatively steady day so far. So in our previous game, where Kelsey and Rachel were bringing you coverage of one of our women's quarterfinal matches, not a lot of wind. We haven't seen too much of a change just yet. And so we'll see some reasonably precise ultimate from these teams to start themselves off.
We saw yesterday from Exiles, they did a lot of isolating a single player in the open space. And we'll see if they do that again. An early call, I think a bit of a pick, so a little bit of contact. Obviously not isolating one player if there's going to be two players picking each other. So we'll see if they can clean that up. But they were pretty consistent in their offense. I'm interested to see if they've learned anything over the course of yesterday and they've changed it, or whether they're just going to stick to what works. So it's going back to McAfee now, who's going to be in the handler space quite a bit. Although I think they're a bit more, they do move people from downfield to handler pretty flexibly.
Which again is one of the things that we've spoken about throughout the course of the tournament. It's just how particularly the newer generations of players in the kind of senior space, or relatively new to the senior space, having a lot more flexibility in terms of how they play the different roles on the field with regards to handling, cutting, how they're choosing to play defense. Sturman with the disc now puts a big shot up.
McAfee, as we talked about earlier, from the handler space, makes that cut. Not in the end zone. He's looking to Johnstone.
Manages to find that secure.
Sturman very open, but not able to find it. There's been a call, 2 calls in the first point. I wonder if this is going to be a bit of a chippy game. We'll see what happens. As I think I mentioned yesterday, calls aren't a bad thing, but when you do see them accumulate, you sometimes that can be a sign that players are getting a little too tight on each other, or maybe the teams are just contesting the same space.
Finds McAfee in the end zone on a great cut towards the far side front corner to put Exiles on the board, up by 1. Again, so those players whose names we called out quite a few times during their streamed coverage yesterday, for the exact reasons you specified. Not only do they do a great amount of work in that handler space, Johnston also, when he moves into the midfield, does great work with undercuts and continuation. And then McAfee making those big, deep cuts, those huge pushes from the handler space into the deep field to try and establish an additional threat for the offense, something for the defense to have to pay attention to. We find that happen quite often. As a called play or a pull play initially, a dump truck where a player will receive the disc in the handler space, a nice quick 1-2 to offload, and then immediately start pushing deep to create a threat, hoping to catch the defense off guard.
And Exiles are a really physical team, so hopefully it'll be a good match against the Brisbanites. We want to see physical in terms of athleticism and using their space and their body. Obviously not physical in the terms of creating fouls, but an accepted level of contact between the two teams will change from game to game. So hopefully they put an exciting game on for us this morning.
Lilwall and Brown to initiate for the Brisbanites. Nice through shot, finds Avila.
Ooh, and that's a piece on the disc by Lemon, I believe. Tranter tracks that down. Quick closing speed, but he's calling a disc needing to be replaced. It looks like it was bent by the defense, possibly on the
touch.
So yeah, good touch by by Matheson, but also a good job by Sturman to make sure that the turn happened and it wasn't then that Brisbanites didn't have another bid at that disc.
Great security there, I think. We're going to see Hodgman near sideline now, gets a slip out of the defense as they look to close the mark. Can't push down the upline, decides to go back midfield, just outside of the hands, but he taps it down. Matheson, center field.
Matheson happy to get in the air as a pilot in his for his day job. Ooh, and it's a Lemon with a sick grab over the top of the Brisbanite player. Lemon will be probably a deep receiver strength for them. He does a lot of work in the end zone. And there's a stall called on the disc. So not only was it a turnover, but there's also a stall on Lemon.
By Avila, number 16 for the Brisbanites. Now, for those folks watching at home who may not be aware, Ultimate is a self-officiated sport. So the players are the ones who are making those calls. So that stall call indicating that a player in possession of the disc has 10 seconds is counted by their opposition to relinquish control of the disc, or it's an automatic turnover. So that little tap on the head, much like the alarm clock that you hopefully didn't snooze to make sure that you were here for our exciting coverage today, signifies that the first T, the first syllable of the 10 count, was uttered by the defense. And essentially the offense has run out of time to get rid of the disc.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a... I feel like the Brisbanites team is quite drilled and they're disciplined in what they're doing in terms of their offense. A good take there by Kirby. He was running out of field space, so he did a good job of keeping his toes in. Lilwall now again to Kirby with a low grab. Kirby put in a lot of work yesterday, so it's good to see that he's saved some energy for today.
Doing some great work there for the Brisbanites. Finding Burnside, goes back to find Lilwall.
Oh, and a good job by Avila to focus on the disc and not worry about his footwork. And there's a little bit of discussion.
But it looks like Lemon was going to let that one go. We did see the signal for the goal, but great work by the Brisbanites to say, hey, no, you were hesitant. Let's talk about it.
Is it a contact call, or possibly a whether? I'm pretty sure Avila was in the end zone. There we go. Signaled as a point.
We can see there on screen Avila's left pinky taped up, possibly supported by a cast. Still putting body on the line to pull that one down for the Brisbanites and bring it back to a tied game. So again, keeping in mind, right, we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast today, both of these teams have faced each other already in the tournament, and the game was decided by a single point. So it's great to see how evenly matched they are. Honestly, either of those results will be a pretty exciting match for us. We'll either see another universe point finish, in which case, wow, those teams really are hotly contested, or we'll see one team get fired up facing against their rivals from earlier in the tournament, and we might see a breakaway scoreline ahead of us.
And we see that grab again. I really like how he was focused on the disc. I mean, sometimes all you want to think is just hand to disc to make those kind of tough grabs.
Absolutely. I've always been a fan of the idea being that possession is as much, if not more important than position. When you have the disc, you can do something with it. If you don't have the disc, you're playing defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe not getting too focused on the end zone, looking towards the whole field. We've seen that in the recent years when people are playing hex. You know, you're more looking at the width and the breadth of the field rather than just purely upfield, downfield.
Absolutely. It's more a case of where is my next pass? And we just pass and pass and pass until someone tells us to stop. And normally it's the other team telling us to stop when you guys have already done it, you've scored. Can we start again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
beautiful pull by the Brisbanites. Touching down with a quick roll is going to carry it all the way out the back of the end zone. We see Fraser going to pick up.
I believe Fraser actually touched that disc before it rolled out, so that will mean that it will come in at the back of the end zone. We see the players on the field discussing that now. That's a risky one. If you're going to try and stop the roll, you have to make sure you do it. So if he hadn't touched it, he would be able to take it from the front of the end zone, and if he has touched it, it's from the back of the end zone. Big difference. I mean, it's only 18 meters, but...
But it's 18 meters of hell to have to fight through before you can take even that first breath of security that you're no longer in Callahan country.
It's decided he didn't touch it. He's walking it up. We see Sean Lemon isolated in the middle. 2 deep cutters, what I'd call a pearl. So one player who's isolated and 2 continuation cutters. Doesn't come off. It looks like Exiles are now folding into maybe more of a traditional horizontal. Oh, and we have a deep cut from Fraser. Lemon now surveying his options.
Finds Hodgman pushing towards the far sideline now. McAfee on a nice reset. Going around to Lemon. Hess's outstretched hands not going to be enough to seal it. We find Johnson once again in the midfield.
Marked by Garrett from Brisbanites, who's hot in his tail. Ooh, and a low put by Hall. That did not come out how I imagined he wanted it to come out. Hall just signaling that, yeah, that was not what he intended.
Well, with the sun starting to come up, teams applying sunscreen, maybe a little bit of residue on the hands. Disc getting a little bit slippery. It's up to these players to keep everything under control. A nice, great reach, but not going to be enough. We see Sutty not able to pull that one down. Matheson with the disc for Exiles.
Matheson having a dump, able to find, oh, nice little inside shot. McAfee with great hands.
Huge take there. Nice big reach to keep it in hands. Matheson now trying to find Hodgman on the far side. Can't get there.
I feel like Brisbanites are doing a good job of covering the both sides of the end zone here. You know, they're covering they're really close and tight on their players, making that break side hard as well as the open side. And it's an inside shot.
Nice and long for Lemon.
Such a quick grab, a catch, and release there from Johnstone.
It's something that we've seen a little bit of, used to, I guess, a range of effect over the course of the tournament, where that hastiness is sometimes rewarded with a nice fast break, a nice quick opportunity to score, and other times the imprecision creeps in, and without the trust of the teammates, or maybe people just a fraction of a second too slow to react, we see the...
This bottom right-hand corner to the right of the screen right now is particularly dangerous for players. It was thrown away a lot there. Very different game today. Wind is in the opposite direction, so people are going to have to adjust to that, but so far, I think we've seen fewer turnovers because of the conditions. Brown now in the middle of the field.
Supported by Lilwall and Kirby, finds Burnside near sideline, goes back through the middle of the Exile zone.
Yeah, this zone leaving the middle open for Brisbanites, so they're gonna want to make sure that that's covered. Potentially pulling that wing further closer to the handlers. But Brisbanites looking happy to swing this disc, happy to live with the disc.
Lilwall playing his role, much as we saw him yesterday, staying back in the handler space, providing a reset option behind the zone, just trying to distribute the disc through. Tries to push for an upline, but it's not going to come away. Has to peel back around behind the handler space to get the disc again. Finds Burnside on the near sideline. Now he's chipping through. Good, and trying to get a hand in. Can't do it. Finds Avila far side. Back to Lilwall. Finding Kirby. Not too far from a score. Big hammer over the top. Touched by Matheson for the block. Beautiful work by Exiles. Great vision by Brisbanites. I saw that hammer go up. Could not even see Solomon there pushing into the deep space. I had no idea who that was to. Solomon making a great cut to get into position, but Matheson peeling off and managing to shut that one down. Beautiful work on the defense.
I'd like to have seen a grab from Matheson instead of or attempted a grab. That was almost a second go at the disc there for the Brisbanite player. So
you know what? You're right. Slightly less beautiful work by the defense.
Great positioning, at least. Now, I like this here. Kirby was on the defense for the under, watching the disc rather than watching his player, trusting that someone else is going to pick up that deep cut from his player. Matheson now in the middle of the field.
Good, and punching into the deep space, decides instead to push the far sideline for Matheson. Again, nice, quick reset.
So we have Exiles using those deep cuts to open up the middle space. Now that they have the end zone so close, though, I wonder if they're going to have any set plays that they're calling.
Huge bid by Kirby, but Matheson's going to call contact on that one.
That was a sick bid. I'd love to see that. Full pelt, full lay. Body to the ground.
Just huge, huge, huge play. And so we mentioned before that it's a self-officiated sport, so players are going to be making the call for themselves. We're going to get a chance to see it again. Big fakes by McAfee.
I can kind of see what Matheson might have felt. It looked like there was maybe contact. Maybe he had his hands on the disc when Kirby made contact with the disc. That's so close. That's the
I think I mean, I agree. Like, there's absolutely the possibility of contact, but there might also be the chance that Matheson recognize, yeah, you weren't able to make that bid without drawing contact. Looks like that foul has been retracted, though.
Yeah, so in the most recent rule change, there has been a change in the level of contact that is written into the rules in terms of plays like that. So hopefully the players on the field are up to date with that, which gives Lilwall the disc now. I just love that bit, though.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, contact or no contact, just the intensity on display. It really sets the blood on fire.
Sets a precedent for this game as well. We hopefully can see continue.
Now,
commitment.
Great work by Lilwall, moving the disc, but cannot find Solomon this time. It's really great to see as well when you've got those players who typically do have a bit more of a reserved role on the field, stepping back, providing a bit more support for their players, taking that dominator role, really initiating and running through that give-go, chipping through the zone. Just a little bit long on that one.
Yeah, I feel like Brisbanites have been doing a good job of using all of their players. They're all very...
Ray gets a bite out of Burnside to uncork the inside out. Touched by Avila, recovered by Gurdon. What a beautiful work there. Matheson has it. Unmarked, unpressured. McAfee hoping for a nice quick 1-2. Can't get it. Solomon's foot flashing into the lane. Decides instead. Goes McAfee again. Opens up the open channel.
Brisbanites doing and front corner. That's the one place you want to protect. But I was going to say Brisbanites doing a good job of, even if a player is unmarked, there's no receiver for them to hit anyway. So good job switching and covering that. Unfortunately, that one-on-one front corner defense wasn't enough for them. So that's an Exiles score. Great
work by Tranter to find Matheson on that one.
Yeah, that hammer just not making it far enough. If it had been an extra 5 meters, Matheson wouldn't have had a look at it.
Huge bid again by Kirby. I'm going to print that out and put it on the fridge.
It's going to make McAfee and Exiles think twice about that kind of separation, that kind of distance.
Absolutely. It becomes that question of, hey, how much separation do I actually need from my defender for this to be a safe throw? And I think it's not really going to do much for the downfield cutters. It's not going to change their approach, but it's just that microsecond of fear, putting it into the heart of the thrower. That little bit of hesitation might be enough for that cut to no longer be viable. That's one of the benefits, and as you say, how it sets the tone for the game. It sets a precedent as well, yeah? It's making sure that the offense recognizes what kind of a threat the defense poses.
Yeah, I feel like these points have been high intensity so far. It's hard to keep up that level of intensity for a full 90 minutes. These teams haven't got the biggest rosters. Exiles only having 14 or 15 players, so they're going to want to make sure that they're spreading the workload over the whole team. Actually, both teams using all of their players really well, using the players who are in the right space rather than looking for specific people, making it harder to match up on defense against them because you can't really relax on anybody.
Sutherland with the disc for the pull for Exiles, putting it long and deep, fading towards the far sideline. Fielded comfortably. Goes through to De Hollander to start.
Yeah, so we see match here from Exiles, but match when they're ready to poach off.
Montoya goes through to Major. Back to De Hollander with a nice backhand. Looking for Hess. Eaten up by Sturman.
Yeah, Exiles showing that Brisbanites are going to need to be more accurate with these long shots.
Johnston again wants to uncork the big one, decides to go for something mid-range, trying to find Fraser. Not gonna get it.
Yeah, two Brisbanite players covering that shot.
I mean, it's a threat of a shot. I mean, Tom Fraser has a lot of high-level experience on the sort of national and international stages, recognizing him getting the disc that close to the end zone. It's a bit of a tough spot. Fading away towards the far sideline. Exiles underneath it with a big take by Sutherland.
Good mark by Fraser then to force that kind of floated back a little bit more rather than, so maybe potentially the thrower not leaning forward enough and engaging their core with that throw. We see Lemon now with the low release for a tall guy. He manages to release that disc low to the ground.
And that ability to hit a variety of different release points is one of those things that really sets throwers apart. Vrij with the disc.
Back to Johnston again. Vrij wanting to cut into the end zone instead.
Looking for Lemon. Decides instead, goes to the reset, back to Fraser. Sutherland again pushing towards the far sideline for Sturman. Can't hit the inside shot, goes back midfield. Lemon has it. It's just a two-man show at the moment, working back. Sturman comes back center field for Vrij. Sturman again up for Vrij. Manages to get it, not in bounds. Still pulls it down right on the doorstep.
I feel like Exiles are trying to win it. Oh, so open. Trying to win this with their legs. You know, that with the conditions today, they could be a bit more creative with their throws, but I mean, Lemon showing that his legs are paying off this point by being so very open on the open side.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a depth of throwing ability here on Exiles that we have seen. We know that they do have those long options for them. 2 back-to-back breaks now for Exiles, doing a fantastic job on defense. But yeah, Rachel, I couldn't agree more. Using their legs to do a lot of the work, particularly once they push into their offensive half. So once they've passed that halfway point, instead of just putting up a 130-meter pass, they are looking to do a lot more work and movement on it.
Yeah, almost relying on their legs quite a bit, though.
Which, as you pointed out earlier, with the relatively reduced rosters, I mean, you gave a number, I think, 15. I'm just double-checking, and you're absolutely right. They've got 15 players on their roster at the moment. There's still a couple games to play. This is a semi-final. They win here, they go on to the final match. They've still got another game ahead of them, potentially. Short roster, working hard with the legs. We'll see whether or not they have to make any adjustments as they start to shift towards maybe a more energy-efficient or conservative defensive structure. Cycling players through the front of a zone to really have some front-forward pressure while allowing their deep players to recover for a couple of points. It'll be interesting to see whether or not fatigue starts to creep in to give Brisbanites the opportunity to claw back the other way.
We are seeing a zone, as you just spoke about here from Exiles. They have 2 players up the front. There's a call on the field, but 2 players at the front. Looks like 3 kind of forming a little wall, and then 2 deeps. 1 deep currently coming further under, and 1 covering the very deep. I wonder what this call is here. Doesn't seem like there's any contact, but potentially a travel call.
Yeah, so again, and I think you mentioned this in some of the games yesterday, that now, as per the most recent rule set, any defensive player is able to call a travel on the mark. Doesn't just have to be the player on the mark. When you're marking the disc actively, hopefully your attention is not at the person's feet. But we're seeing, speaking of the Lilwall in the zone, we see Jack Lilwall doing some great work to open it up, pushing hard into the downfield space. Oh, slipped through the hands of Brown.
Yeah, I like the look of that shot. I think Brown unfortunately not able to get it, but that's the kind of shot that would break open that zone. So I think Exiles got a little lucky there.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that yesterday there was a lot of talk about players needing to get their body behind the disc to provide that extra bit of security. I think you spoke about that in a couple of the games that we had yesterday. Sutherland goes up and over. Kirby with the intercept finds Lilwall quick and firing back. Big shot going up, looking for a V-Let's over the top. Eaten up by McAfee to the surprise of very few. Great work on that defensive.
I think as well. We just had a big gust of wind, so times, you know, the atmosphere is changing here in terms of conditions.
Ray with a big shot, looking for Tranter. Eyes on it. He's not the man. Yes, he is. Thought that was going to go through to Hargraves instead, providing that extra security, but Tranter's the one who pulls it down with a nice offload to Lemon.
Yeah, Tranter's got some really great acceleration, and he shows that he can accelerate into the end zone for the score there. And
that's exactly what Exiles need. So, going from a universe point finish yesterday between these two teams, Exiles are currently up by 4. 3 back-to-back breaks for Exiles. If this were me, now would be the time to call a timeout for the Brisbanites. Maybe have a think. What do we want to do?
Their mind, Blair, by the looks of it. We have a timeout on the field. But yes, I mean, so it's a classic time to call a timeout. Make sure everyone's on the same page. You know, give everyone a chance to have some water.
Now, I have to be honest, though, I do love the fast midfield disc movement that we're seeing from the Brisbanites. Kirby, Brown, and Lilwall doing some really good handler-oriented offense.
Lilwall was really punishing that zone. He was every other, and I mean he was moving, he was throwing, and then he was putting his body on the side of the handler marks that made it impossible for them to have a bit on the disc. So just like a great use of his own space, really. Huge
like offensive awareness to, as you say, using your body to control the opportunity for your defense to make a play. It's something that it's great to see. It's one of those beautiful intangibles that you might, when you're playing Ultimate, you might not notice that it's there, but you definitely feel it when it's not. It's one of those things. You can have you might have a handler or a team member who has such a great amount of security, and you're thinking, why is it that I can always find them? Why can I always get the distance? How come they never get blocked? And then it's just that own sort of body awareness and just putting a really, really great job of sort of controlling that space on offense, which is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I think I would like some more from the front of that 2-3-2 zone from Exiles. Maybe a bit more focus on Lilwall. You want to recognize who their strong players are. Not that they're all very strong, but Lilwall has been directing a lot of that movement.
Yeah, he's been the one who's been punishing that zone the most, I think.
Yeah, make the Brisbanites prove that they can do it with all of their players as well.
Yeah, I mean, and how would you do that from that sort of 2-3-2? Especially when we see Lilwall has been doing a lot of work in the upfield space, parking up behind the handlers. I think maybe trying to lull the Exiles into a false sense of security. I do a lot of standing around. I'm the easy reset. You don't have to worry about me running. No. Don't throw me into the briar patch, Brer Wolf.
I think maybe a little bit more of a flatter mark on him, on Lilwall specifically. That way, the defenders are then getting their body in the way of him. It's the opposite side of that coin. So if they are forcing him to not be able to get a throw and then like a little down the line inside cut, instead they're making him choose a direction that's a wider cut, basically.
Actually forcing him laterally after that throw, because the peril's there, and I think you're exactly right, Rachel. Is if they have a flat mark on him, either he can throw a break throw underneath the arm of his defender, but then his next angle to follow that disc has to disengage from the defense first before committing to the downfield. It's going to be a lot harder for him to commit to that. Whereas at the moment, if they're giving him one half of the field, he can do a really quick give and go. He can throw from motion. It's a skill set that we're seeing a lot of our youth players develop as well. We're seeing a lot of it through the course of this tournament. But Brisbanites are doing a great job in hitting those motion throws, and defense needs to find a way to answer it. Now, admittedly, Exiles still up by 4, but now is probably one of the most dangerous places to be, up by 4 in a game like this in a semi-finals. It's an opportunity for Brisbanites to really start pouring it on, and unless Exiles show that they have an answer to it, there's nothing to discourage Brisbanites from pouring it on and just trying it until it works.
Yeah, and I've noticed almost that sometimes New Zealand teams can fade off into the second half compared to overseas international teams. So I do wonder if Exiles are going to be able to maintain this level of play. I fully have faith that they will, but I want to see them prove that. I know that the previous game, Australia Brisbanites ladies, the Iron Maidens, against the New Zealand Auckland team, the Iron Maidens had a really strong second half. So I want to see that from both teams here.
Great take by Montoya from De Hollander, but can't get the return shot.
A little bit of pressure from McDonald on the Exiles team, who's now coming to pick up the disc. We're seeing a pretty straightforward match at the moment.
Good take by Lemon over Montoya.
Lemon has just got real safe hands. Oh, and Johnston.
Hess tips it into Johnston, but the disc doesn't lie.
Sturman a little bit too fast on that. So again, we see all the downfield options covered. Brisbanites having to swing. Lots of room on that far side to swing there.
De Hollander goes through to Hess behind the defense. Montoya on a great undercut there. Working back with De Hollander.
De Hollander, as soon as he throws it, he's keeping his eyes on the person with the disc, wanting it straight back. It's good focus by these players. I like how they're releasing the disc, throwing the disc, but they're still keeping their head over their shoulders, looking at the player with the disc.
Ellis with the big fake to shift Hodgman. Again, controlled away from the far sideline, goes a little bit deeper to find Hess, marked by Johnston. Great cut up the line by Garrihy. Goes back instead, finds De Hollander. Montoya not available as an option yet. Ellis pushing towards the near sideline. Big fake, get a huge bite out of Hodgman. The high release flick. Sturman's in the way.
We love a high release, but unfortunately that was very covered by Sturman. I think that was probably a little bit too hopeful of a throw.
Ding dong, that's the sound of Big Ben with the block for Exiles.
Exiles have got a long way to go now to their own end zone. They are setting up their Pearl, as is kind of expected at this point. They've got Lemon in the middle. Lemon's had some amazing grabs. He's just one of those players who's, you kind of wonder how he can make these grabs, how he's so effective.
And he's a great player to have set up in that midfield as that isolation player. You know he's going to be able to get separation, good take. And then he's able to continue with a fantastic variety of throws of his own. Gurdon on the far sideline.
Yeah, Lemon very consistent and reliable with these throws. Big deep cut. Good switch now from Brisbanites. Oh, and a little bit of a sloppy swing there.
Came in a little bit low, maybe bounced off the inside hand of Sturman there. So it's Brisbanites with an opportunity to start to claw back the lead that they've given to the Exiles. De Hollander to pick up and initiate, supported by Garrihy in the upfield space. We're going to see a vertical stack pushing all the way to the end zone. Couple of players available for an isolation. Decides instead, tries to engage a little bit slow there, finds Montoya right on the doorstep now. Hess is an option. Unmarked.
Exiles flooding that front corner with defenders. It means there's a lot of space somewhere else. Oh, but the front corner works.
De Hollander.
The front corner works.
Cutting back into the play from behind the handlers. It's a quite a threatening move as well, especially when you're that close to the end zone. Generally, we do see a lot more aggression from the downfield players pushing towards that front cone, trying to get in front of their defense and a nice open pass to the chest. The harder part about something like a cut from behind the handlers pushing up in is that you have to throw enough of a leading pass, and there's enough float on it because you're putting it out in front of your intended receiver, but the defense can then often take a bite out of it. We did not see that happen this time. De Hollander doing some great work to move around, get himself into a great position for that score, to bring it back within 3.
This pass, just, as short as it needs to be. Little lefty there. And we see the defense by Lemon just knowing that he let slip something there. So that's a hold.
Probably going to leave a sour taste in his mouth.
So we have a hold there for Brisbanites. Wasn't an easy point, There was quite a few back and forth. So
just a couple of turns on each side. Nice to see that the fight is still there. They're making a great job. I mean, when we see those turns, teams are immediately switching back to defense. They're really trying to keep that pressure on, which is awesome to see. It's also nice to see whatever was spoken about in that timeout. Brisbanites have clearly managed to, if nothing else, put a pin in that string of unbroken breaks. Unbroken string of breaks, an unbroken break. That's not even a break. That's just a hold. Great work, though, by the Brisbanites for that hold.
And we see the return of the roller pull that was so popular yesterday.
Especially as the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. Tranter gets it despite taking a bit of a tumble. Can't push back towards the midfield just yet.
Tranter being a very common choice for that initiating movement in the downfield.
Matheson on a good upline. Doesn't let go of the big shot, though. McAfee available as a support. Can't find Johnston on a high outside forehand.
Yeah, they were really being forced to that low sideline. I mean, it's a really good job by Brisbanites to not let them off the line. I mean, that no around mark, so not letting the Exiles players throw it into the middle of the field, but also Exiles playing into their hands. They were saying, okay, that's not an option. We're going to take the down the line, and it doesn't always come off. There's a narrower corridor that you can hit there on the line.
Absolutely, yeah. Instead of hitting a space where your player can see and react and run onto the disc, it's coming in hot. Any play up that line, it's either right over the shoulder, or they're having to make a really, really tight angle to evade the defense, but also find that open channel. Burnside doing a great job to open up the midfield, marked by Fraser. Working around, finds Lil Wall. Exiles haven't yet shown that they have an answer to him. Goes around, finds Avila. Johnston on the mark, stopping it, coming back to midfield. Goes Kirby in that handler space, threading it through to Burnside for the score.
That far sideline is where all the action is happening at that point.
I mean, it raises the question, why do we even have such wide fields?
Yeah, and it's a break by Brisbanites.
Which is absolutely beautiful to see. That's what we needed from them to make sure they're still in this game.
Avila was really crushing that kind of middle area there. We saw a run through D on Avila earlier, so it's really good to see that he's now really chasing those discs down. But yeah, he was cutting it up. He was really open as a kind of a pressure release. And yeah, great job by them, by the Brisbanites, to find a little score on that front cone. They've shown they love that front cone.
Yeah, great run by Burnside to pull that one in. Seeing almost the whole team for the Brisbanites, just making sure that...
yeah, just making sure that they... that the disc isn't dropping too fast on that shot. But yeah, so because the wind's picking up again. The far side of the field is the low side, so that's where the wind is headed. Close side of the field to the far side of the field. And we have Brisbanites with the pole having a long chat on the line, potentially setting up a little zone or something different, something that's not match, basically. Switching match has been working really well for them. They've got great comms. They're just really good at prioritizing the downfield options. They know that the person with the disc doesn't have, if they don't have anyone to throw to, it's fine. You don't need to mark them. So we have a pull now coming up from Suddy.
Nice spin pull with a high roll. It's going to be bricked. It's going to have touchdown on the far sideline.
Yeah, these I'm really struggling to see these sidelines today. The black on grass isn't the most distinctive. And yeah, we're seeing a little wee zoney thing maybe. Oh no, it's looking like match. Never mind. So we have Lemon in the middle. We're used to that. We've seen him isolated before. With 2 continuation cutters downfield. Yeah, I love that cut. I mean... Oh, and Hall had a chance at that. My heart was in my throat. I mean that's exactly what Exiles wanted to do. That's their play. Isolate a person, have a continuation. It hasn't been stopped yet really by Brisbanites too much. That was definitely, unfortunately, a receiver error. Brisbanites now ready to be firing on offense themselves. Ooh, and great hands there by Montoya.
Yeah, good bid by Fraser, but not going to be enough. Comes back to the midfield. Finds De Hollander. Ellis available as a near side support, but that's a last resort. Goes back to Montoya with a quick bit of a dominator work there. McAfee with a switch mark. Great work by Exiles to just communicate those.
Nice. Ooh, nice D by Lemon. I was going to say, Johnstone had a good mark on the dump handler reset there, and it wasn't an option. So instead, having to go to a downfielder where Lemon was all over it. Nice to see that clean bid too.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the 2 components of defense, right? It's pressure on the disc and pressure on the cutter. And you can often get away with just one of those. Huge spike block.
Wow, an uncommon error from Lemon. I feel like Exiles are really relying on him heavily. But yeah, that was just...
Great touch by Bence Major to generate the turn for the Brisbanites.
McAfee now forcing backhand low side by the looks of it. Tiny little reset, not gaining any ground yet.
Left hand around, finds Suddy, who put up that roller pull. Nice crossfield shot, finds Major with an opportunity here, decides to go center field for Hess, and a nice one across for Hollander. De Hollander's not going to be able to pull that one in. Right on the doorstep, Brisbanites need this one. There's a lot of pressure. There it is. Bence Major, that's bookends for you, sir. Well done. That big spike block, setting up their possession, a nice long string of passes, some patient offense by Brisbanites, but it pays off in a major way.
Yeah, absolutely. They were looking for a long time into that little space, and number 90 De Hollander just really wanted to throw that score, didn't want to swing, and that was close.
I do love it, though. It's one of those things where there were quite a few cuts across the front of the disc that maybe a less patient player would have gone for. I mean, Montoya making himself an option there. He threw it out into space. He threw it out towards Major's left shoulder to give him that opportunity to correct and maybe seal off the defense a little bit. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of white line fever over the last sort of day and a half, and it's really easy to imagine just how differently that could have gone. If the players are right on the doorstep, they need to throw it now. They need to get the score. So good way to hold on to that disc for just a little bit longer, something that is maybe a higher percentage option available for you. We're going to see another timeout be called here, which makes a lot of sense to me. Exiles were up by 4 points at one point, and then we've had a hold and 2 back-to-back breaks by the Brisbanites. And it's interesting you mentioned earlier, Rachel, just how much New Zealand teams tend to be first-half teams. We're seeing them fade off a little bit. Brisbanites early in the first, or I guess kind of in the middle phases of the first half, doing a really good job of pouring on the pressure, showing that they have those answers to the Exiles offense. Yeah, and that we haven't seen a lot of unforced errors like that turn by Exiles was that last point. So, hopefully they're able to to curb that and make sure that they're being a bit more precise. Yeah, they've been consistent otherwise, especially their offense, as we said. Lots of isolation. That isolated player just using the space that they're being given by the defender. If it's a one-on-one matchup, one thrower, one cutter, it's an offensively weighted game. So at that stage, if you're just having it be simply, 2v2, 1v1, it's going to favor the offense. Should have it every time.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially when you have a receiver like Lemon, who is back on the field now.
So just to, I guess, piggyback off that idea, right? When you have that sort of a one thrower, one catcher, and one defender for each, the only real way to provide advantage would be to double team the receiver. But in doing so, you take all of the pressure off the thrower. There's no stall count. There's no forced turnover. So that really isn't an option, which is one of the reasons why it favors offense just so heavily. Defense working together, communication is one of the biggest things about strong defense, because it allows players to kind of claw back that discrepancy in strength between offense and defense. Being able to coordinate, being able to help, to poach off, to peel off a defender, to recognize where you might have a mismatch, to recognize where you might have an opportunity to provide assistance to your teammates. The communication, I think Kelsey mentioned earlier in the previous game, it's offensive line, your defensive line, and your sideline. So that communication really playing heavily into the strength of our defensive sides.
The sideline has a lot to contribute. I mean, I find some players, when they get a bit tired, they struggle to listen to the sideline. But it's good to have them there, even if it's just for moral support. You want to hear information from the sideline is usually most helpful, but also advice too can be good depending on what your team has been working on over the course of their season.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned a couple of times when I've been here in the booth, I've been really, really fortunate to have, in my opinion, some of the best sideline sideline communication. I've had players who have, it's honestly felt like giving them a remote control to my brain, and they just give me exactly where I need to be, how far apart. Take 2 steps to the left, push in now, defense, offense cutting from the over shoulder. It's really, really great to see just how beneficial communication is as Johnstone puts a big shot up. Burnside putting enough pressure on.
Wow, that was a sick grab from Johnstone, really low, kind of an iffy grab, and then so fast on the huck. And I thought I thought the Exiles receiver was going to be all over that, but hands just grasping air instead.
Yeah.
Hargraves that wasn't able to bring that in.
Beautiful timing by Burnside as well on that jump, just throwing Hargraves off enough to generate the turn. Huge play there.
I like the look of that huck, though. I mean, I'd have that be thrown again.
Oh, yeah.
especially when you get the yards that follows it. So Hodgman now on the disc. We're seeing a match defense from Exiles. Montoya's been working hard, and his give and go has been good.
Putting it long.
Floaty. Oh, that
Pulled
was
down beautifully.
Oh my gosh.
Davidson, number 14, Davidson for Brisbanites, with the score on that one.
Which
to
brings
tie
us
the
to
game.
5-5.
5-5.
A very exciting game.
All right, folks, those of you watching at home, take both of your hands, hold them towards your face, count the fingers on each hand. 5-5. Now, take those same hands, slap them to your cheeks like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, and scream loud because we have ourselves a game, folks. Exiles to come out now on defense. No, Brisbanites, sorry, to come out now on defense. Exiles on offense. They were up by 4. Now, they've let that lead slip. It's exactly the same as their previous match in the tournament. So tight. Ended up being won by a single point.
Wow, that was a floaty huck. I mean, Davidson did a great job of keeping his eyes on that. Yeah, I mean, the Exiles defense was there, but they weren't really making a play over Davidson's shoulders at all. You know, maybe the distance was too far to make up, but yeah, excellent focus by Davidson watching the disc into his hands. And yeah, that's a 3rd break in a row. So we're now even on points and on breaks. These teams, 4 points in a row by Brisbanites. I think maybe we're heading towards another universe point between these two teams.
Big pull with a nice high edge. Is going to roll.
Yeah, so we're going to be having a half at 8 points now that we've reached the semis in the men's division. So still a long way to half. We see Tranter now looking to Johnstone. Johnstone had been working in the deep quite a bit.
Great continuation option there from Hodgman. Lemon with a touch. Pulled down. Matheson back to Lemon for the score. What a beautiful sequence that was to give Exiles back the lead. Good grief.
Oh my God, the zing on that throw from Hodgman.
Ooh. And just the way he set himself up for that as well, recognizing he was an extra pass away from getting a touch, pushes hard with that cut. We're going to see again here, Hodgman already opening. The defense slow to close that window, which gives Hodgman an unimpeded shot through. Hess with the big block, but Matheson to recover. And Lemon recognizing that, hey, the disc is up. I trust my teammate. I'm going to give him the next opportunity. We'll see it again. Hodgman putting it long and low. Hess with the touch.
Yeah, that was a sick bid by Hess, but I'm glad that Matheson and Lemon were able to maintain focus on playing Frisbee, not distracted by the bid. But it wasn't the most likely of points, to be fair.
No, it wasn't. But regardless of how likely it was, I likely it very much.
We see Hodgman is now being rewarded with being able to pull the disc.
That's the peril of being good at offense, is you get asked to play a lot of defense.
Yeah, absolutely. You're rewarded with defense.
Yeah. Big pull, nice. Turning over late in the half with a touch and roll. Lil Walter Kirby supported by Brown on the far sideline. We're going to see a zone defense. 2 up front. Vrij pushing towards that far side wing. Lil Wall trying to work around Tranter. Can't get through. Scuba over the top. Finds Avila, but can't connect.
Oh, that was the right choice. You saw Avila and another Brisbanites player split Hodgman in the middle. It was what you need to do to break a zone. Just unfortunately, it's turned.
Yeah, recognizing opportunities to flood a zone, to sort of overwhelm the player with numbers, but Exiles have an opportunity here. Lemon put a big shot up. Who's he going to find? Burnside in the way with the emphatic denial. Huge bids from both of those players.
Great recognition by Burnside. I mean, like, Tranter's fast, but Burnside had the positioning all day on that shot.
We're going to see it again. Big shot up.
Yeah, that's leaving the ground even.
Huge play. Necessary for Brisbanites to give it back to them. One more time, we're going to see Brown, Kirby, and Lil Wall initiating the offense for the Brisbanites.
We see a zone again from Exiles. We have a player on offense and defense in the deep, currently hovering. But all the action is around the handlers at the moment.
Absolutely. Burnside kind of in the middle field, starting to push into the deep space now. Lilwall unmarked, big hammer across. Little bit of miscommunication there. I think Davidson a little, maybe not slow to react, but definitely didn't expect that throw to come across and to peel as short as it did. Tried to recover, tried to get back into position, but wasn't able to do it. Still a nice territorial option. They've pushed them towards the high side of the field. McAfee goes to Lemon midfield. Avila can't stop it.
I kind of know that feeling against the zone. You just want to, over the top, you want to shoot something. You want to release the pressure by getting it to the other side of the field. So I totally get that choice by Lilwall, but it was, yeah, not accurate enough. And now Exiles are at the front of their end zone. A high release to Lemon. And
gonna pull it down. Great put by Tranter there to be peeled in by Lemon for the score. Exiles to go one away from half, back up by 2.
Yeah, and that's they ask a lot of Lemon, and he delivers. So nice take and good job keeping his feet in so close to the sideline there.
We've got a game of runs at the moment, folks. I mean, back in the early stages of the game, when we had 2-1, it was an Exiles lead, a really, really narrow one. Exiles, 3 back-to-back breaks, pulled it all the way open to a 5-1 game. Then we had a hold and 3 breaks, so 4 points on the bounce for Brisbanites to tie it up. Now it's been 2 points on the bounce for Exiles. So game of swings, trades, and roundabouts, which is just really, really great to see.
Yeah, and this takes Exiles to within 1 point of half. You know, it's they're going to want to save their energy and take half quickly, but you know, it's not going to be easy. Brisbanites have been really challenging them on all sides. We see Lemon take the field again. I think that's quite a few points in a row for him.
Absolutely. I mean, when life gives you lemon.
Absolutely. I mean, he even has a brother who plays Frisbee, so it could be when life gives you lemons.
There we go. I mean, hey, what do we have to do to get them on the same team?
I mean, yeah. I think both Lemons probably pretty keen to play. We have Hodgman looking to pull again. Yeah, they've been using quite a few of the same players. Lots of reliance on specific players for Exiles.
And it's a tough thing to do, right? You kind of have to look at your energetic bank balance and start making those decisions. Hey, we need to win this game if we want to make it to the finals. What do we have to spend to get us there?
Yeah, but at the same time, you don't want to get caught up in that too much. You need to play it point by point. You know, that's kind of what you want your leadership to do. You want your leadership to be directing
Absolutely.
that.
100%.
Yeah, these marks up the front by Exiles are pushing the players back, not letting anything through the middle at the moment.
Hess finds De Hollander after a big wide swing. De Hollander puts it up big. Looking for Major again. Johnston says no.
Yeah, great cover by Johnstone. Good read. That huck was, yeah, they didn't anticipate Johnston's ability to cover that.
I mean, he's everywhere.
Johnstone also qualified as a game advisor.
Oh, brilliant. Big high shot.
Late stall. Lewis not able to grab that. There is some contact on the field between Hodgman and another player. There is a call on the field. Unfortunately, that there was a Brisbanite player ready to go deep, but instead the play is stopped. Players are having a bit of a chat. There's also some, we get to see that almost grabbed by Lewis again. It was quite a late stall throw.
Oh, yeah. I think possibly that collision involving Hodgman, both those players saw the disc go up, lifted their eyes to kind of track it to see whether or not they could make a play, and that's where that collision happened.
The call's going on a bit long now. Looks like it might be retracted. There are some hand signals on the field. Turnover is going to stay. It's going to stand. Violation as the players are moving too soon. What we need is the nearest defender, Lewis, on Exiles to tap the disc in before we can move.
So now the disc is live. A little bit of on-field cueing by Lemon, signaling where those initial defensive matchups need to start, where the pressure needs to be.
We heard set called by Exiles, meaning that they want to reset their zone.
Fraser can't stop the upline. It goes to Hess. Finds De Hollander very, very close. Left-handed, comes back to Montoya. Garrihy available as a reset option, but it's shut down by Lewis. Has to go back to De Hollander, far sideline. Losing yards on those resets. It's going to make it a tough road for the Brisbanites to put this one on the board.
Yeah, Lemon pushed back quite a ways. Past half now to Montoya in the middle. There's lots of pointing from the sideline about hitting this far left-hand side corner. There is a player from Brisbanites hanging around there that you can't quite see on the screen, but he's very open at the moment. Unfortunately, that shot really hard. It's kind of upwind, and it's just a long shot, especially if you want to go over the stack.
Ellis can't get to it in time. A nice little bailout option, I think, there from Hess. So it's going to give the disc back to the Brisbanites, hoping to take, Exiles, hoping to take half. Am I colorblind? It must be. Fraser with the upline for Hodgman, despite a great attempt there by De Hollander to get involved. McAfee's underneath it.
Ooh, and yeah, Gurdon not able to grab that. That's another floaty huck into that side of the field. I'm thinking the wind's sitting those hucks up like too long. It makes it more of a 50-50 when they come down rather than being specifically for a player on your team.
And then when you've got a player like Major getting involved, applying pressure as he does, we're going to see a big shot going up. It's Major again. Johnson.
Nice
goes
D by
up.
Johnson.
Great play to the disc there. No call. It's a little bit of a bump after the fact, but doesn't seem to have made any difference at all.
We saw lots of adjustment by Johnston as he read that disc. So a really good job of he was checking where the offender was and also where the disc was. A good back and forth by him.
Hodgman, Lemon, McAfee pushing into the handler space. Fraser there as well. So they're playing 4 in the upfield.
They've been playing 4 in the upfield pretty much the whole game.
I know. Johnston in the midfield now, right around the halfway point. Puts a little bit of bounce underneath that one. Hodgman with a great read. Can't find Lewis. Decides to go Johnson instead.
Wow. Exiles doing an excellent job of resetting their pearl even after they've started movement. I'm liking how they seem to know exactly who's going to be in an isolated position.
Gurdon with the score for that one.
We see Hodgman isolated now, giving him plenty of time for the shot. And multiple continuation options there. And with that, Exiles takes half.
Absolutely. So up by 3 as Exiles take half. I mean, getting to see that one more time, it's just really, really pretty. And we've talked about how the wind is kind of gusting from the bottom of your screen towards the top, which is probably why that open Lewis cut towards the near sideline was looked off in favor of something that was just a little bit more controllable for Exiles. That is going to be the end of our first half, up by 3. My name is Blair Monroe.
Rachel Siahani Royal.
We'll be back for the conclusion of this match in the 2025 Division 2 Ultimate Championships very soon.
Ka kite ana.
This promo drama, drama. Hey, I'm starring in this drama, drama. Baby, you know I'm not getting over you. Baby, you know I'm not getting over you. Hey, I'm starring in this drama, drama. Drama because of you. Even in disco lights, I still feel every lie. Wish I could hurt you too. Baby, you know I'm getting
All right, folks, welcome back for the second half of the exciting coverage of our semi-final match here between the Brisbanites and Exiles, who are going to be coming out on defense. They're on your screen at the moment in the red uniforms with the disc. About to start things off, currently up by 3. It's been a game of trades, a beautiful display of huge defensive pressure on both sides. Exiles with a little bit of a run towards the end. So it was an initial string of breaks for the Exiles, responded to by a string of breaks from the Brisbanites, and now it's a string of breaks again by the Exiles, but still anybody's game. My name is Blair Monroe, and it is just fantastic to see as well. There's only 2 turns in it. 2 turns to generate those 2 breaks, which explains that very, very narrow point margin. Brisbanites working early. Avila, Lil Wall, Kirby providing the support there with Brown on the far sideline. Nice little dad backhand to open it up on the near side.
Corridors of people being open is unfortunately punished the Brisbanites. You know, when you're working in that small space, it's not as big of a throw, but it's...
Lemon's gone for it. Fraser puts it up. I mean, a target like that, why would you not? Oh, Kirby drawing contact. Is definitely going to be a foul there.
Yeah, that was... If there hadn't been any contact, though, it would have been asking a lot of Lemon. That was going fast.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been able to make that course correction and catch it as it started to fade. Would have been a tough shot, but, I mean, we'll never know.
That real tight defense by Kirby. A little bit too tight.
Mm.
Players discussing it. Yeah, Lemon setting up that cut from the from the isolated curl position that we've seen him be in. And it looks like an accepted foul at this stage.
So an accepted foul. So what will happen here, Lemon will retain possession of the disc, or the disc will get checked in first to allow players to move. Now that the disc is live, Lemon will bring the disc to the front of the end zone. I think there's a violation called because that should have actually happened in the opposite order. Player should check the disc in first, bring it to the front of the end zone.
Violation called. The players on the field are clarifying this rule now. So, yeah, Lemon should have gotten the disc and then gone back to where the foul happened, and that is where it's tapped in by Kirby. It seemed like at the stage that both teams were kind of happy to play it as is.
Yeah.
We love a good rules chat. Sometimes when there's players who've been playing for a long time, there's different iterations of the rules being discussed.
It's interesting to see sort of across generations. It's a little bit like when the yeah.
But no, it's good to see that it's been clarified by the team. So, giving everyone a chance to catch their breath as well.
Oh, necessary. So the disc has been retrieved now by Lemon, brought to the front of the end zone. Checked in by Kirby, almost.
We have Lemon now with the disc. Exiles are flooding into the end zone, but it looks like everyone's pretty well covered. And Fraser back with the disc.
Couldn't find Lemon there on a great little cut towards the near sideline. Hammer over the top. He's going for it. He's got it.
Creativity in the throws is kind of what I was looking for from the team earlier. So,
And a break as well to start the half, which is a huge deal for Exiles. Generally speaking, teams, I mean, we can see it. Big shot up there.
yeah, Lemon kind of unmarked. I see what I kind of see what Brisbanites were trying to do in terms of covering the unders instead, but you can't just cover some things in the end zone. You have to cover everything.
We've mentioned quite a few times about the danger of that front cone and how that's something that needs to be sealed out by the defense, especially when you've got a close push towards the end zone. Brisbanites maybe overcommitting in that space and maybe not respecting the threat that Lemon presents. He's a player you can't really take your eyes off, especially in clutch moments like this.
Yeah, do you find yourself staring quite a bit? Lemon's
I mean,
on the field again now.
You know, what can I say?
So, yes, we're leading. We have Exiles leading 9-5 now. So, I'm hoping for a little run again from Brisbanites. We know they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen them claw back a 4-point deficit before. They're 4 points behind. If there's time to pour the pressure on, it's now.
I do wonder if we're going to see any increase in contact as people get a little bit more tired. We've seen so many close bids this game. Yeah.
That great early bid by Kirby in particular.
Yeah. More of that, please.
Yeah, really just, like you said, setting the tone. Ellis going to be the one underneath it to pick up and initiate. Can't get to De Hollander. Finds him on an upline cut instead. Great work there. Working back midfield to Montoya. Some 1-2 work as the Exiles defense slowly get into position. Defense is behind and out of position. Montoya. We've got Major alone in the end zone on the near sideline, but it's going to be a hard upwind throw. Decides instead to go back. Finds De Hollander. Garrihy available as the centering reset.
Yeah, the defensive wing position from Exiles came so far forward, it just left the other Brisbanite players really open further down the field.
Lemon with the one touch. Gonna be enough to give the disc back to the Exiles, hoping to shatter the double-digit barrier on this possession.
We have Johnstone isolated in the middle of the field, a really strong thrower. Tranter clearing down the line. High release from McAfee, one of his favorite throws, I know.
Oh, a travel called by Montoya on Lemon. He did have a lot of momentum on that upline cut, but the question then becomes, did he stop as sort of effectively as he could have, I think is the real question.
I believe they're just resolving a conversation between Johnstone and the Brisbanites before they discuss the travel. Yeah, contact on his back. I think that was probably resolved as an accepted foul, and it's
Right.
now going back to Lemon.
The
Disc is coming in.
The implication being if that had not been a foul or if it had been a legitimate turnover, the travel call would have been irrelevant. Post a travel call, the throw has to be a completion, otherwise there's an automatic turnover. So we're seeing Lemon do a lot of work for the Exiles. Goes up over the top of Johnson. Hess with the intercept. Back to Montoya. Hess again trying to set things off after generating that turnover for the Brisbanites. Big shot going long.
Oh, that's a nice shot. Like, it needed to be quick. You know, Johnstone was in the area, and he could have had a sniff on that if that longer shot by Hess wasn't fast. So,
I love Johnson's decision-making there, actually. Trying to make a play, was probably online to either direct in front of the disc or pull behind, decides instead, hey, it's not worth potentially drawing contact. The best thing for me is to look at what the next option is. We know he's going to offload. I need to stay tight on him. Just not tight enough. We're going to see Major pull that one down for the score. Brisbanites going back within 3. So, beautiful hold there by the Brisbanites.
yeah, just that longer shot was really pretty. More of that would be nice.
Yeah, actually, just send it. Full send.
Medium send.
Medium send. You're absolutely right. Medium send in this win.
Yes, so that was a hold. Exiles now coming out on offense, running a very similar line. They've gotten pretty predictable what they're going to be doing on offense, but it's been working, so you don't need to change anything up there.
And it's one of those things, too, even though we're starting to see some of that fatigue set in, some of the legs fading a little bit. When players are feeling fresh, feeling hot, their connections are dialed in, the throws are feeling really, really precise, they've got a great sense for how their teammates are slowing down or speeding up throughout the course of a match. It's nice to keep a little bit of consistency and that reliability there. Good work by Kirby with a roller pull, but it's going to be stopped early. Tranter goes to Fraser, swings to Ray on the near sideline, marked by Brown. Stops the big shot, goes to Lemon on the near sideline. Now he's putting it up, looking for Johnson. Davidson underneath it. No! It's Kirby.
Double coverage there on Johnstone. There is an injury call for Kirby.
God, he's been doing the most for the Brisbanites. He really has been pouring that pressure on defense. Not just, outperforming against his own assignments, but looking for opportunities to peel off and assist when those threats like Johnston and Lemon are pushing into the deep space.
They're having a bit of a chat now. I thought initially there was going to be no call. We saw Johnston walk away just to go and set up on defense, but they're having a chat now. Yeah, that was excellent peeling off the back by Kirby. Not his player technically, but that deep space, obviously a dangerous space.
It's a threat, yeah.
Yeah. So we see him helping out his teammate.
Little quick disc check there.
We have an injury substitution.
I think that's Garrihy who's going to be taking the field now for Kirby.
Big boots to fill for Garrihy on defense.
No joking. Got them size 15s on. Whew.
Garrihy will be hoping he doesn't have to play defense at all, though.
And you know what they say about guys who wear big shoes? They're hard to fill after an injury substitution. Great work by Burnside to open up the midfield, marked by Fraser. Now Lilwall pushing deep, pursued by Hodgman. Goes up. Ooh. Solomon goes to the skies, but it's up with both hands, fingers closing a fraction of a second too early. It's going to give the disc back to Exiles. Tranter to Lemon.
Great attack by Solomon there on that disc. I feel like he could hear Tranter behind him, that extra pressure on that catch. Oh, big diving
Huge bid. Beautiful bid.
Beautiful clean bid.
Yeah, well done, David. Dolphin dive, David said.
And managing to get back up off the ground again quickly, too. Johnstone really wanting that disc back, but I feel like he was more getting in the way there than anything else.
Ray on the reset. Tries to hit an inside break. Big hammer fake. Brown shuts down both. Goes Tranter on the far sideline.
Yeah, we have Lemon really open at the back of the end zone. I see where that hammer might go.
Johnson with a nice wide swing to Fraser. Burnside shutting down the low options. Little flick back towards center field for Johnson. Lilwall on defense. Araya Lilwall
Yeah, we're seeing some more conservative play here by Exiles, hanging on to the disc.
Lemon pushing into that initiating cut. There it is over the top of Avila. Garrihy marking the disc, not the man. Or marking the man, not the disc, and it's not going to be enough. Like we said, big shoes to fill, but it is going to be Lemon who comes down with that one to shatter that double-digit barrier, taking Exiles to 10 over the Brisbanites 6.
Get to see this high release again now. We have the Brisbanite player peeling off the back again. Oh, they really know that they kind of need that double coverage on Lemon.
Yeah, well, you say double coverage, but I think Avila bailed on that pursuit a little early to really pressure a receiver like Lemon for that one.
Yeah, that kind of that defense was hopeful, but not successful, unfortunately.
A great attempt, nevertheless. Exiles to come out on defense. We are now 76 minutes into our 90-minute soft cap, so about 14 minutes left on the clock before this game is going to come to a close. At the moment, though, we are still in a flat race to 15. First team to score 15 points is going to be the one who wins it. At the moment, it's looking to be Exiles, especially after a great play like that one. Nice hold there. And they've demonstrated that they can put on enough defensive pressure to generate the turn and convert that into a break. We'll see if that's what they bring for us on this next possession.
Quite a long chat on the line here. Exiles are ready with the pull now. Matheson signaling with the disc. As people get a little bit more tired, we want to see them keeping to the time limits on the line. Perhaps something that they discussed at half. Teams usually have a bit of a chat at halftime to establish if there's anything spirit-wise they need to discuss between the two teams. We have Ellis chasing the disc now.
Great little roll means it's going to force to be brought in on the low sideline. So anything to access the midfield has to be upwind. Now, the wind isn't super strong at the moment, but it might be enough. We see a huge amount of float, but Lilwall's going to come down with it.
Ooh, but not able to find his receiver.
Conservation of greatness.
That speculative swing was a great take by Lilwall, though. I like how Exiles were making sure that they were covering that down the line.
Hodgman finds Lemon. Goes back around for the reset. Montoya in hot pursuit.
Back to Lemon again.
We see Lewis testing the deep space marked by De Hollander. Hargraves now on the far sideline. Resets around to McDonald.
Exiles giving plenty of options for plenty of dump options on the field now.
Hargraves calling for it on the near sideline. It's a little bit of a hard throw to make, especially as we put it up and over the defense. The wind is going to make an influence. So McAfee center field with a high release finds McDonald. Can't hit Lewis. Inside shot to Hodgman for the score, and Exiles go to 11.
What a nice break from McDonald there. Made it look really easy. Low release point, steps into that throw. We get to see that again. Good patient play by Exiles. Yeah,
it's that inside break there. Beautiful, fine curving around Lilwall. Just
leading
really
pass
good
for Hodgman.
shape. Absolutely beautiful shape on that one.
Timeout called, most likely by Brisbanites.
So back to a 5-point deficit, which is their widest deficit of the game so far. Oh. So yes, McDonald to Hodgman on that one.
Yeah, they're leading by quite a few breaks now. Leading by 4 breaks. Exiles are leading by 4 breaks. So there's a lot of work to be done for Brisbanites. We've come all this way from across the Tasman, playing Frisbee in a foreign land. What would you be talking about in a huddle at timeout with this kind of scoreline if you were on the Brisbanites team?
If I'm on the Brisbanites team, it's doing a quick inventory, doing a temperature check and a stock take. Hey, what are they managing to shut down? Okay, who are their big threats? How are they exerting their influence on the field? like Lemon in particular doing some great work opening up the midfield. Johnston as well. I mean, they had a really great answer to Johnston in Kirby, although there was quite a lot of contact there. I think quite a few of their dust-ups led to some contact, led to some calls being made. So maybe tightening that up a little bit just to keep the flow of the game there, but applying that same level of pressure. So what are our checks and balances? Where are our answers to some of their bigger weapons? And similarly, what are our biggest assets right now? What are they failing to stop us? We've been talking pretty consistently about how Lil Wall, in the early stages of the game, saving his legs, really spending a lot of time behind the handler space, giving really safe resets against the Exile zone. Later stage of the game, he's starting to find that second, third, middle gears, working through the center of that zone, chipping away at it, really applying a huge amount of offensive pressure. And so, is that something that's still going to be viable for the later stages of the game? Exiles 4 points away from a win. We've got about 10 minutes left on the clock. Can we continue that amount of pressure? Can we keep using that weapon? Or do we need to look elsewhere? Do we need to find something else?
I've noticed that, Exiles are closing their lines quite a bit, which means that they're putting a lot of the same players on point after point. So I'm quite impressed with their stamina at this stage. It's a lot of focus required too, playing point after point. You know, it's
Hugely.
taxing on the body, but you have to.
It's tough on the mind.
Yeah, tough on the mind. You have to stay focused. So there's no respite.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too, especially when you're playing a lot of defense too. When you're playing offense, you get to choose to make a decision. When you're playing defense, you're choosing to make a decision while also responding to what the offense is making you do. So it's a little bit like spinning plates almost. Johnston with the big pull, nice and inside out. It's going to touch down.
We see Kirby back on the field. That's excellent to see. He's recovered from his little, as you said, dust up with Johnstone earlier. Another zone from Exiles. We're looking at what I would call a junk, a 3-3-1. 3 people up the front, 1 person in the middle, and 2 wings, and then a deep. And so far, we have the Brisbanites just kind of testing the waters and happy to live with a disc, not losing too much ground. It's a zone that's pushing people back. It looks like they have a little almost D there by Sturman, but
Good take by Brown, nice and secure, but back to Kirby. Burnside, Avila doing a lot of the work. Nice line drive is going to be out of bounds. Could not find Davidson, and it never came back in. So it's a great chance here for Exiles. Really, really close to their own end zone. They've got maybe about 10 to 15 meters of field to make up, and then they can put away another point on the board.
yeah, that shot just not ever really having a hope, unfortunately. But the receiver was open for Brisbanites. You know, that's the kind of space they want to be throwing into. There was no deep marker there to cover it.
Yeah, nice open near side channel. Oh, Davidson can't get a sniff. Goes to Johnston, to Lemon.
Yeah,
Very close now.
That felt like quite an unlikely grab by Johnstone, and Johnstone is able to finish the point off quickly. A little 7 cut. So he cuts into the space to push his defender to one side of it, and then he just turns over his shoulder.
Now, so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's called that because it's the shape of a 7, folks. Nice little slash cut across the front of the disc. Pulls the defender out of position, and then a little quick change of direction to open up the field for them. Managing to pull that one down. I mean, any tournament I've ever been to, it's one of the sort of final phases of your kind of pre-game preparation. You do your warm-up, you get a couple of throwing sort of drills in, and then it's basically an away and under and a 7 cut just to do your final prep. And that's the reason why, folks. It's because the stuff just works. Well drilled by the Exiles to put that one on the board, doubling the Brisbanites score. It is now 12-6.
I think we saw Lemon throwing that to Johnstone even before Johnstone had kind of made that cut. These two players know what they're going to do. They know what to expect from each other. It was very almost predictable from the sideline. I mean, it was so difficult to cover still as a cutter. But we saw Johnstone, as he was never looking away from from Lemon, sorry. He had his eyes on Lemon the whole time, even as he was changing direction.
I mean, that's it, right? Shocked but not surprised. I mean, you could see it coming, but you weren't going to see it coming.
Even if you know it's coming, you can't. It's hard to cover. So it was a short turn and an efficient break from Exiles.
And that's 3 on the bounce now. So yet another string of breaks. I mean, we've, in fact, just looking at the way that our scores have gone, so far, every break's been followed by 2 breaks. So we had Exiles running a string of 3 breaks, and then we had Brisbanites hold, and then a string of 3 breaks, and then a hold, and a string of 3 breaks. We've had a couple of holds, and now we're 2 breaks for Exiles. So history might not repeat, but it often rhymes. We're going to see if it does here. Garrihy on the near sideline, marked by Lewis, trying to find De Hollander on the upline. Can't, has to go back to Montoya, marked by Lemon. Lewis closing the windows here.
Yeah, they've... I mean, yeah, the Brisbanites throws have been really strong, so I'm surprised that they're being pressured so much. There we go. That's kind of
big
what I was
hammer for
thinking.
Ellis. Yeah, I mean, hey, a nice downwind hammer finds Hess, a little bit of float.
Yeah, when that zone from Exiles is so focused on the front, as soon as you push through like that, it's kind of falling apart a little bit. Back to Garrihy now. Let's see if he can do something similar again to break through. They've got a bit of breathing room now. Now that they're further down the field. Nice low release there from Garrihy.
Finds De Hollander. Hess trying to push the upline, but Lewis is in the way. Great defensive positioning here, and it's gonna be a little on the low side. Definitely called low, certainly by Exiles immediately. We'll see it again. Oh, I mean, I couldn't see the shadow underneath it, and the only reason I wouldn't be able to see the shadow underneath it.
We have one of the Brisbanites players now just having a look at the VAR to clarify whether we can tell whether it's down or not here. I will say it looks down to me. I will never know for sure, but
in that deep slow-mo, getting to see right the very last pass. So we'll see it again one more time. We can actually see that the path of the disc changes slightly. The only reason that was going to happen is if there's a little bit of friction on the grass. So I think making that down call was the right move. Tranter can't connect. Garrihy's in the way.
Garrihy making up for throwing that turf disc and now getting the run through. So
Hess looked off in favor of a wide side reset to Sutty. Back to Montoya. Oh, gets a big bite out of Tranter in the downfield.
The big mark of Lemon is really forcing this disc, back and forth. He's really stopping those kind of inside shots. But Garrihy's been instrumental in opening up this zone.
Great take by Sutty.
I love it. Great. Do it again, Garrihy.
Yeah,
so good.
I mean, that's the perils of being on the sideline and having a microphone, Rachel. You said Garrihy has been instrumental in opening up the zone, and on the very next pass, he opens it all the way up. We're going to see it one more time. I mean, we do get to see again just the kind of work that Lemon was doing, forcing that shot wide. Garrihy with a nice outside-in forehand, peeling over for Sutty for the score. Back within 5 for the Brisbanites.
Yeah, Sutty looked so open, but I mean, I'm really pleased with Garrihy's precision on that throw. It had to be fast. We've seen him throw some of those fast, longer throws.
Absolutely.
That they need to get to the player in time that the defender has no bid on it, and he's been really good at that. His consistency is it's paying off for Brisbanites now. So that is just a hold for them. Couple of turns that point. Or one turn apiece for each team, which means that Exiles coming out on offense still with that little points buffer. But we've seen, we want to see Brisbanites just really getting in the way of the Exiles flow.
We are coming close to the 90-minute mark, so very soon we're probably going to hear a hooter come blasting out across your screen. That will be indicative of our soft cap being reached. Now, to clarify, the point is considered to have started already. So we are currently in a point, even though the disc hasn't gone. There goes the hooter. So at the conclusion of this point, we'll add 1 to the highest score, and it's a flat race to that number. So we're going to be looking at either a game to 13 or 14, depending on how the Exiles perform here. Nice McAfee finding McDonald to Ray near sideline.
A little bit of contact on Ray as he's pivoting. I think there's some talk about the mark being too close. It's an accepted foul call, so Ray will retain the disc and the stall will reset to 0. He was looking for Lemon down the sideline, who's unmarked currently. We
can
have
see, yeah, Kirby trying to figure out where the biggest threat is. You can see him shuffling backwards and forwards, trying to shut down a lane, trying to shut down a lemon. It's a tough call. He made the right decision. He applied enough pressure. The disc is pushing towards the far side of the field. It's McAfee now, marked by Montoya. Johnstone with a big shot for Hodgman. Not able to jump it in. Can he put it to Lewis? Yes, he can. Exiles to 13. It is going to be a game to 14, folks.
that was Hall with the score.
Oh, Hall with the score. My apologies.
Yeah. Good backup by Hall there. Nice long shot. Who threw that?
I think that was Johnston.
Oh, yeah.
Nice and low. Laser show there. Finds Hodgman just outside.
Yeah, I mean, that Brisbanite player number 14, Davidson, possibly should have been dropping to the receiver rather than the player with the disc, Hodgman. Oh, Solomon, apologies, 4, not 14. Just leaving that receiver so open.
It's a tough thing. I mean, if you've got a lot of experience in terms of handler defense, you might be confident of your ability to generate a block there. And sometimes, I guess, like fundamental ultimate, which is drop and cover the receiver, might take that backseat to the I know I've got this guy. Especially when the adrenaline's running high, the blood's running hot. It's a clutch moment in the game. You've heard the hooter. You know it's.
I mean, the real strategy is just have 2 defenders in that space.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, the real strategy is chuck another 3 or 4 defenders on the field, you know, just have them hang out there.
Yeah, we'll play 10.
Hey, better, swing.
We'll play 10v7 if we need to.
Oh, yeah.
If we need to.
And honestly, with the wind, the way it was yesterday, it honestly felt like some of those teams were.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is game point for Exiles. Game of 14,
Yeah.
so achievable by Brisbanites.
Absolutely. Garrahy working with De Hollander in the downfield.
Yeah, Garrahy's had a great half.
We're seeing Brisbanites stretch the depth of the field. You've got Major pushing into the deep space. Kirby as a nice centre handler helping to anchor the offense. Finds De Hollander.
Yeah, I mean, Garrahy's just really composed. You know, he knows when he needs to move. He knows when he needs to throw and go. But a lot of the time, he's able to throw. The defense is dropping off of him, and he's not as pressured. So it's good recognition by him to prioritize when he needs to be cutting and when he doesn't.
Absolutely. I mean, again, there, right? As you say, hanging back, giving Kirby an option, decides to push through, finds Hess. They're broken past the zone. Major now getting busy in the end zone, hoping the defense won't have a chance to catch up. They're a little on the slow side for it. Now they're back into position. De Hollander goes back to Suddy. Centers to Kirby. Garrahy on the high side as available as an option.
Kirby taking this chance to play some offense. He's been all over it on D, but you know, time to show that he can do both, which we know he can. So lots of chat from the sideline for Exiles. You can hear it on the field. Lots of direction to the front of this zone.
Managing to find Hess low side. Montoya right on the doorstep. Can't quite close. Hess making a cut now. Has to go back. Finds Kirby. Can't jump that one across.
Yeah, I feel like Montoya really likes that small space. He's been quite effective, but Exiles are flooding defenders into that space instead.
Garrahy to De Hollander. Can't yet break through the zone. Has to go back. Oh, manages to find a window for Kirby. Great work past Sturman. Hargrave, sorry.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot. There obviously is a lot at stake here with one team being on game point, but tensions are high on the field by the vibe here.
Montoya on the trot, but it's not going to be him. It's Sutty instead for the Brisbanites.
Sutty with a little jump into the end zone. Casual as you can be.
I mean, sometimes that's what you need. You know, I mean, especially when you're looking at the way the Brisbanites are playing. There was a lot of composure in that handler core where we had Kirby, we had Garrahy, we had De Hollander. They were really, really patient. They were playing a really small ball. That zone was quite oppressive. The zone was very, very close. It was quite compact. It was dense. So there weren't a lot of spaces to push through. And then you've got someone like Montoya with a lot of energy, a lot of sort of explosiveness, a lot of movement as well. Nice, quick give and go, raising that energy. And one of the perils there is that you can often have that kind of offset everyone else's tempo and throw them off. So having Suddy be as calm and composed in the downfield as those handler cores were in the upfield, really, really great connection through Montoya to open up that point and put one on the board. It's now 13-8, race to 14.
And winner of this game goes through to the final. A lot on the line. We have the women's final up next.
We absolutely do.
And the men's final to finish the tournament out. So whichever team wins this game will get a little bit of a break before they play the final. So both teams, looking to really run it out, run hard, knowing that they're going to get a chance to have a little bit of a rest.
And so Brisbanites right on the edge of being knocked into the third, fourth bracket. Whole team, well, more or less the whole team, a lot of players coming on board, making sure that everyone's aware of what the plan is, what the strategy is. Pretty decent chance we're going to see them come down in a zone. It's a little bit of kind of visual shorthand. When you've got that much communication and that many people needing to be involved and on the same page, it's a pretty good indication that we're going to see a more complex defensive structure.
We have confirmation from the women's semifinal, one of the women's semifinal. We have Wa from Otago on 11 points to Spring Chickens 13. We see now Ray with the disc.
Hodgman with a bit of a stumble as he clears into the midfield. Oh, there was a very disc golf release, wasn't it? Nice and sort of close and compact to the body.
We saw Ray choosing to forego a pivot on that throw, and maybe it would have been a bit more accurate if he had pivoted. Brisbanites with the disc in the middle of the field now.
Burnside nice and low, finds Avila, can't get the continuation away. Montoya doing what Montoya does, nice and busy. Big layout by Burnside is not going to be enough.
Burnside got his hand to that disc there, but unfortunately didn't close his hand around the disc.
Johnstone pushing deep. We're going to see it uncorked by Lemon. Tranter there as well. Johnstone with an opportunity here to continue on, but it's the touched by Kirby.
Oh, the pressure by Kirby's doing the job. Although
another call.
Yeah, pressure by Kirby may now mean the contact by Kirby. Players having a chat. Turn is going to stand. Kirby coming in now with the disc, putting in the work to get the turn now, gets to decide what to throw.
See it again. I mean, Tranter had a great position. Looks like the turn is going to stand. We're going to see Montoya pick it up, marked by Lemon. Burnside cutting into the reset space, decides instead to find Kirby far sideline.
Oh, very low shot. Low
And
shot to low shot.
Too low for Davidson to recover. Exiles could put the game away here. McAfee to initiate, supported by Tranter, Hodgman, Ray in that 4-back that we've seen them play most of the game.
Yeah, I like this little lane sag by the Brisbanites defense.
Brown on the handler defense trying to stop the reset.
Oh, nice combination defense between the two Brisbanite players on the handler and the dump.
Johnston puts it up, looking for Tranter, finds him for the score in the game. Exiles are going through to the finals, 14 over Brisbanites 8. What a beautiful match that was, and emphatically different from their previous appearance as opponents in this tournament. Yesterday's match ended with Brisbanites winning on Universe Point, but as we said at the beginning, the hardest team in a tournament to beat is the one you've already beaten. So well done by the Exiles to claw that one back, saving it on day one, spending it on day two. We're going to see them again in just a little while in the open final, but up until then, my name is Blair Munro.
My name is Rachel Siahani Royal.
This is the 2025 Division 2 New Zealand Ultimate Championships in beautiful Otautahi, Christchurch, Hagley Park, Bob Deans Field. Come on down, watch it live, and then go home and watch the replay later so that you can hear our dulcet tones, providing you context and commentary for the best sport in the entire world. We'll have a women's final for you very, very soon. I cannot wait. See you then.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
ULTI.TV.